Hello and welcome back to Wellness Wednesday, where we bring you practical wellness tools, tricks, and techniques from experts on topics important to patients, survivors, and caretakers alike. I'm Erin Kuhn-Krieger, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. Today's session is called Ergonomically Correct, Tips and Tricks to Keep Your Body Safe and Injury-Free. And I don't know about you, but I know I can definitely use this between switching offices with my husband constantly to the kids being around. Working from home has been definitely an interesting, different way of life, right? We're really excited that we have Brittany Korman with us today. She's a doctor of physical therapy and really interested to see what she's going to share. But before we get started, I want to make sure that everyone has saved the date for next month. We're having Live from Your House, It's Rolf at Night. It's a virtual variety show taking place on Saturday, November 14th. We can't all be together this year for our normal annual gala, but we could still gather virtually to have some fun while supporting Ralph Foundation. More information will be released on that shortly, so stay tuned. Also, did you know that next month is, did you know that November is Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month? We'll once again be partnering with World Pancreatic Cancer Coalition, comprised of groups and foundations from around the world in spreading pertinent information and awareness on pancreatic cancer. We also have so many exciting activities in the works, and we'll be sharing our calendar of events shortly, so get ready. Now, a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Please ask questions through the session in the comment section below, and we'll be saving all questions until the end to make sure we're able to get to everybody. I'm now thrilled to introduce Dr. Brittany Korman. She's a doctor of physical therapy with Traci Heller Physical Therapy Group and also teaches fitness classes with one of our partners, Cancer Wellness Center. Welcome, Brittany. We're excited to have you here today.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I am Dr. Brittany Korman. You guys can call me Brittany. I am a physical therapist here in Highland Park. I specialize in orthopedics and sports, but I am also a part of the Cancer Wellness Center. I teach virtual fitness classes on Thursdays at 1 o'clock. So if anybody is interested or a part of the Cancer Wellness Center, that is a great way to stay active during this time. And like I said, I'm a physical therapist at Traci Heller Physical Therapy Group here in Highland Park. And today I'm going to be sharing with you guys some tips and tricks on first how to set up at your desk so that you can be ergonomically correct and try to avoid any aches and pains that might continue as we continue to stay home and stay safe. Then I'm going to take you guys in through just some common postural pains that I typically see throughout the upper body. So with your neck, your shoulders, your back, and your hips, we're going to go through each of those separately. I'm going to kind of talk about where I see the faults that can turn into injuries, and then just some quick exercises on how to address those. And then some preventative techniques on how to continue to keep you guys healthy while at home. If you guys, again, if you have any questions, feel free to send those into the message box, and then I will address those at the end of today. So I am in one of my treatment rooms here, and I have my desk set up. So we're going to stay moving throughout this entire session too. So if you guys have a space or your desk set up that you typically are at, I would love for you guys to try out these exercises at home with me while I'm doing it, just to see how they feel on your body and see which ones work best for you. Unfortunately, I can't see all of you guys, so make sure that you are staying safe and be careful with these things. Be ginger to your body and see which ones feel good for you. So first, let's just talk about a little bit of your desk setup, just some basic tips on how to set up your work from home space or wherever you're doing at home, paying bills, or just we're sitting more at home. So first things first, and you guys can't see my feet here, but always having your feet flat onto the ground. So you want both of your feet on the ground. If you are a little shorter, you could always add some textbooks or some books underneath your feet so that both feet are flat on the ground. If you ever experience any low back pain, SI discomfort, try to avoid sitting with your legs crossed for an extended period of time. That's going to put increased pressure on your spine. So having your feet nice and flat on the ground is a perfect start. Then you want to make sure you're even weight on both of your hip bones. So you can kind of rock side to side on those sit bones and then find a space that you will feel even on both sides. Next, you're going to roll your shoulders down and back so that your shoulders and your shoulder blades are locked down. And then if possible, you want your desk so that your elbows would be at a 90-degree angle. If my computer were in front of me and I wasn't using it for my camera, your keyboard would be right there. So you can have your wrists slightly supported, and again, elbows about 90 degrees at your side. When it comes to your computer screen, your goal is to try and have it to be eye level. And you can try that by reaching your arm straight out in front of you, so your screen would be about an arm's distance away. And then you want the top of your screen to be about at your eye level. If you are working from home with a laptop and you don't have that option, or I would consider getting a desktop because we're going to be home for a while. So you want to either elevate the screen. I've been recommending is you get a separate keyboard so that you could elevate your laptop and then you could have your keyboard here. So again, just to review, you want to have both feet flat on the ground. You want to have your shoulder blades down and back. Elbows ideally would be at 90 degrees, so you could adjust your desk height if possible. And then the top of your screen is going to be at your eye level, and your computer screen itself would be about arm's distance away. So that would be our ideal posture for your desk setup. Here's my little caveat with that. We all talk about this perfect posture, but our bodies love movement. I like to say to my patients, motion is lotion. They always get sick of that, but motion is lotion. So even if I sit in a perfect, ideal posture all day long, my body is going to still be a little bit achy because it wants movement. So when you are sitting for an extended period of time, I want you to try and be in that perfect posture. However, I'm going to show you now some things that I often see as we fall out of that posture, and then some exercises to include. And I will say this throughout today, my most important thing you can do is to get up and move every hour. Try to change positions, and I'll give you guys some tricks on how to incorporate that as well. So what I typically see when I'm not in that ideal posture is that we tend to be forward like this. Especially, and I find it with myself if I'm doing a virtual visit, we almost try to get closer to the screen or closer to people we're on the video chat with this rounded shoulders and forward head. So this is the typical posture that I see causing the most problems right now. First, we're going to start with the neck. So something to be aware of is that you don't want your neck stuck out in front of you. I compare that to holding a bowling ball. If I were to hold a heavy bowling ball, it would be a lot harder to hold it out here than it is close to my body. Think of your head as that bowling ball. You do not want it stuck out away from your neck, or else all of these muscles are going to have to work much harder. So one little trick for that is going to be called a chin tuck. From the side, I'm going to take my 2 fingers on my chin and my hand behind my head. I'm going to press my chin down and try to lengthen my neck. So it's almost like you're giving yourself a double chin here. So this is called a chin tuck. You're going to tuck your chin back in and then lengthen the back of your head against your opposite hand. You can also do this without pressing here. If you have a chair that comes up behind your head, or I like to practice this when I'm at a stoplight, something to press against the back side of your head, you're going to press that chin in. You want to hold for a few seconds and then relax. I would try doing 10 of these. So if you find yourself on a video call or working on your computer for extended time with that head out, take a break and give yourself 10 chin tucks. So easy to remember with the double chin position, 10 chin tucks, holding each one for about 3 to 5 seconds. And that's going to help improve your neck postural muscles and get your head in a better neutral alignment. From there, I'm going to show you just one quick other neck stretch that's going to help open up the sides of your neck. So you're going to take your left ear towards your left shoulder, take that left hand, reach up and over, and that's going to stretch these upper trap muscles that are right here on the side. To get a little bit deeper, you can take that hand underneath and then gently stretch that left ear towards your left shoulder. And you'll want to hold this stretch for about 30 to 60 seconds. You can try that on each side. That should feel pretty good. Always one of my favorite stretches here. So again, now right ear is going to come to right shoulder. Take that right hand over and then stretch out the side of that neck here. So just to review on my neck before we move into the upper back and shoulders, chin tucks, about 10 of those chin tucks, holding each one for about 3 to 5 seconds. And then your upper trap stretch side to side, about 30 to 60 seconds. Those are two great exercises to help improve your neck posture. Next, we're going to move into our shoulders and our upper back. So typically what I see is that the shoulders are rounded forward and the back is rounded here. How this affects us long term and how I want to make sure that everybody incorporates some upper back mobility is that if I were rounded forward, I can only lift my arms about here. But when I have good thoracic movement or mid-back movement, I can lift my arms all the way overhead. So a lot of people ask me about this because they're like, I don't want to be a hunchback, right? So you don't, because you won't be able to move your arms very well if you are. So one of my favorite things to do is sit back onto your chair. Hands are going to come behind your head. Elbows are going to be out wide. If your chair allows it, you can lean up and over that chair to extend your mid-back. You're going to feel a big stretch through the pecs. Support your neck with your hands. If you don't have a chair that allows that, you can still do this stretch. Hands behind the head. Squeeze your shoulder blades together to open up your elbows. You're going to gently look up towards the ceiling and then come back to center. So open up, extend back, and then come back to center. This is also a great movement to do with a foam roller. So you can take the foam roller right along your mid-back through your spine and then lean up and over that. That stretch is going to help open up your pecs and then give you some more mid-back extension, which is going to give you more motion through your arms. Again, that's another good exercise to use, is what I like to call a mobility break. So if every hour you could just squeeze the shoulder blades together, lean back and over, I think that will help you see a big difference in how your arms feel throughout the day. Now that we got that upper back a little bit more mobile, I want you to work on kicking on some of your postural muscles in that mid-spine. So by doing so, you're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together and then relax down. So imagine my hand or a pencil right between your shoulder blades, and you want to squeeze those shoulder blades together. Again, hold for about 3 to 5 seconds and then relax. So you can try that with me, squeezing those shoulder blades together, opening up that chest, activating those postural muscles right between the shoulder blades. So squeeze and hold and relax. Again, so you guys can make this individualized towards you. If you notice that you are somebody that has more rounded shoulders, these two exercises, adding both the mobility and the shoulder squeezes, might be what you use in your mobility break. If you notice that you're more of a forward head position, you might want to try the chin tucks and the neck stretches instead. Okay, we are going to move down into our low back and our hips, because those tend to be areas that do not like to sit for extended periods of time. So 2 different tips on sitting for the low back and the hips. Number 1, and I'm going to tilt my screen down just a little bit so you guys can see better. So number 1, if you find yourself with a lot of low back pain, you can use a towel and roll up that towel and then put it just behind your low back. That's going to give your low back a little bit more support. If you find that your hips get really tight in the front, or you have any hip flexor pain, you want to make sure that in your chair, your knees are either level with your hips or just below the hips. If you're dumped back into your seat and your knee is higher than your hip throughout the day, that's going to shorten those hip flexors even more and put you at risk for more hip flexor pain. With that, I'm going to show you guys 2 different exercises to increase mobility, even if you do have to sit for extended periods of time in your day. So the first low back exercise I'm going to show you is going to be a seated cat-cow. So if you take any yoga classes, you might have been introduced to this movement before, but I'm going to show you how you can do it in your chair so you don't have to get up and go onto the floor. So you're going to round your spine and tuck your head down. And then you're going to bring your head all the way up to the ceiling and arch your spine. So I'm rolling through my pelvis here. So you're going to inhale, look up towards the ceiling, and exhale, round through and round through the spine. On the side here. Inhale, head up towards the ceiling, extend that whole spine, and then exhale, round it out. Let's do a few more just so you can get the hang of that there. Inhale up, and then exhale, round through. And inhale up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, round that through. So that's a good way to get that low back moving, even if you are having to sit down throughout the day. The best thing that you can do for your low back is to get up and walk. So throughout the day, if you can even just take a lap around your house, maybe get outside, maybe walk down your driveway, if you can add in some more walking and some more movement throughout your day, that is significantly going to help your low back pain. Just a little caveat, because I am very exercise driven. If you can get 30 minutes of movement 5 times a day, or sorry, that's a lot. 30 minutes of activity 5 times a week, that's only 150 minutes of moderate cardio activity, you will significantly improve your low back pain and your risk for low back injury in the future. So the best thing for your back is movement. I know we get nervous about our backs and people tend to want to go on bed rest and just not do anything, but the current research is showing that actually movement is super beneficial for low back pain. So if we can reduce the number of low back pain during this COVID situation, reduce the number of opioids, everything like that. So that is going to be super, super important. So get up and move, and then while you're seated, try those seated cat-cows. Last, I'm going to take us down into our hips. So I'm going to show you 2 different exercises that's going to help open up your hips. I'm going to lower this down so you guys can see my hips a little better. So you can do this one also seated in your chair. You're going to cross your right ankle over your left knee. For many people, this will be a stretch just like itself. I call this a figure 4. If that's not enough stretch for you, I want you to start to lean forward. So you're going to lean forward over that knee, and that's going to help stretch the back side of that hip. And then you can come back up. So keeping a nice flat back, we're still protecting our back. And you're going to lean forward and stretch the back side of that hip, and then come back up. You can try that on each side. You might notice that one hip is a little bit tighter than the other. Lean it forward, and then come back up. So this is another good exercise to get those hips moving, and you don't even have to get up to do it. Just staying in your chair and coming back up. I'm going to show you guys one other stretch for the hips, especially the hip flexor. So a lot of people come to me with hip flexor tightness, hip flexor pain. One way that you can incorporate some hip flexor stretching is by holding onto your chair. And you're going to bend the front knee and then straighten out the back leg. Again, that might be enough stretch for your hip flexor yourself, or you can reach up and over towards your chair, and you're going to feel a big stretch in the front side of that hip and a little bit on the side of the back, and you can reach up and over. You can either hold that for 30 seconds or come back up and then reach up and over. You might want to try that on both sides. I love this stretch because it gets you out of your chair, it gets you up and moving, and it takes you away from your computer. So now that I gave you guys some exercises for the different body parts that I typically see to be affected by seated posture, I want to discuss with you how to incorporate these into your day. Like I said, the most important thing is to get up and move every hour. There's a couple different tricks on how to make that happen for you in order for it to become a habit. So first, if you have an Apple Watch or you have some sort of tracking device, you can set it so that it will give you an alert if you have not stood up for that hour. So if you have an Apple Watch, make sure that setting is on. And then you'll have to get up and move for 1 minute. During that movement time, I would recommend you either doing some of the exercises that I just demonstrated or just getting up and walking around. If you don't have an Apple Watch or a fitness tracker, another good thing to do is just a simple task of putting a post-it note on your computer that says move every hour. And then you pick a time that fits in with your schedule that will be consistent. So maybe the top of every hour, that's the time you get up and move, or the middle of every hour. So every 30 minutes on the 1:30, on the 2:30, give yourself a time that you know that will fit into your schedule, or after every meeting, every Zoom call, you make yourself get up and take a walk around so that you make sure to incorporate that movement throughout your day. The third would be setting an alarm. So you can set an hour alarm on your phone, and then when that alarm goes off, you are going to do your mobility exercise, or you're going to get up and move and walk around. So using one of those tricks and making it a habit, because it's easy to pull up your computer on your couch and start sinking into that and getting lost in your work. But if you have that reminder to get up and move, you will make an effort to do it, and then it will soon become a habit, and your body will feel better because of it. The other thing is incorporating some of these stretches into your day. Sometimes we get caught up in work, caught up in family, caught up in everything else that's going on, especially those of you that are going through a lot right now. So I always recommend scheduling in some time onto your calendar for either exercise or stretching or mobility work. So schedule in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, even 45 minutes if you can. And if you have that on your calendar, you will definitely do it. So we schedule appointments, we schedule meetings, and if they're on our calendar, I don't know about you, but we always make sure to do it. So I want you to take that same initiative with your mobility and with your exercise, because that again will make a huge difference into your day. Last thing is using some of these exercises throughout the day, and again figuring out, I hope you were able to try some of those out with me. The ones that you feel like, ooh, my body really needed those, maybe you focus on that one. So again, if you notice that your upper back is very rounded, every hour I want you to try and just give me 10 of those extensions back. You might not try to do every single one of these exercises. That's okay. I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight into each of those exercises that might be beneficial to address things that I've been seeing frequently. And if you still find yourself in pain or having questions about your specific ailments, feel free to reach out to me or a local physical therapist, because that is what we are trained to do, and we are happy to help during this time. We also offer virtual visits if that's something, if you are at high risk. So there's different ways that you can get help during this time. Otherwise, I would love to see what questions I can answer so that we have time with any questions.
That's not the one that I wanted. There we go. Okay, so thank you so much, Brittany. That was super helpful, especially going down the body and the different stretches and the reminders. Are there apps that you would recommend other than an iPhone or an iWatch as those reminders?
Yeah, so I actually just would use the straight alarm app on any phone to set yourself a timer for every hour. That way you have to actually do it, because sometimes we get a lot of notifications and we just swipe them aside. So if you actually set yourself an alarm, or you put the post-it note on your computer so you're having to see that, I find much better compliance. The other thing that I do usually recommend is using the MyFitnessPal app. That way, it is going to ask you to track your activity level. It's also going to track your water. And hydration is super, super important during this time. We have to stay hydrated. Not only is it going to help you, first of all, it's going to make you get up from your chair because you're going to have to go to the bathroom, which is a good thing. But it's also going to be really important to stay hydrated during this time, because we're trying to make our bodies as effective against COVID too as possible. So you want to stay healthy, and hydration is super important.
Great. Is walking in place as effective as walking around?
Yeah, so I always think walking around, you're actually going to get a little bit more full body mobility. But if walking in place is your option, that is much better than just sitting at all. So getting your heart rate up even for a few seconds. So making sure that you're getting your arms moving as you're walking in place because what we don't realize is that even just the simple act of walking is a full body mobility. You're moving your arms, you're moving your legs, you're moving your hips. So everything is working. And I would still recommend walking in place over no walking at all.
Okay. What are your thoughts as an expert on stand-up desks?
So I think that standing desks can be very beneficial, but just like I said at the beginning of this session, is if we sit all day in a perfect posture, then our body is still going to crave that movement. So it's the same thing with standing. If you stand all day, it's still going to be a lot of load on your back and on your feet. What I recommend is that if you have the option, that you change positions again every hour or every 30 minutes. So whether that's 30 minutes of sitting and then you can elevate the desk to do 30 minutes of standing, or an hour sitting, hour standing. That also can be true with your workspace. So you might work at your desk for an hour and then maybe you even switch to the kitchen table, you switch to the couch, um, and getting that kind of just movement even within your desk setup is super beneficial as well.
Great. And what about those braces that force you to sit up in a certain way?
Yeah, so a lot of people ask me about the braces or about the little device that you put on your back that vibrates, that teaches you. What I would say is that I don't think they're 100% necessary. If you find that you are somebody that benefits from that external cue, it's something that you could utilize in the short term just to train your body to be in those positions more often. But again, I wouldn't want you sitting in this like a robot all day. It's about moving. So again, incorporating those cat cows or just getting your spine moving, getting your body lubricated is going to feel the best, as opposed to just sitting in one stagnant position all day.
Great. And last question,
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on overall exercise during COVID, especially as we're getting into these colder months and are going to be more indoors and have less ability to be out and about?
Yeah. So again, like I said, I highly recommend trying to schedule it into your week because our lifestyles are different right now. We're not in our normal routines. And if you have those exercise times scheduled into your week, I think it's more likely that you're going to stick to it. Some things that I've really recommended are virtual classes. Like I said, if you guys are interested, I teach for the Cancer Wellness Center, which offers virtual classes, yoga, fitness. I do like a strength and conditioning kind of mix. There's a lot of free classes available on YouTube, or the Peloton app or the Nike app are very beneficial for virtual classes. And again, right now, especially today, is a beautiful day. Just trying to get outside and walk and really figuring out how you can incorporate that 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity throughout your week. Again, 30 minutes, 5 days a week is a great place to start.
Well, great. Well, I know that you have a patient, so we want to be cognizant of your time. Thank you
You.
so much for all of these tips and thoughts on making the workday more comfortable, more manageable, and sitting at your desk. If you have more questions, please put them in our comment section, and we'll be sure to get them to Dr. Korman and answer them. And we'll also have links to the classes that she teaches and over at Cancer Wellness Center, as well as the physical therapy group in which she works. We will be having next month for Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, we are doing a panel along with the Cancer Wellness Center of experts on nutrition, pain management, and exercising during cancer treatment. So please tune in on to that, which will be on Wednesday, November 11th. And in the meantime, we hope everybody stays safe, stays healthy, and takes good care. Thanks
Thank
again,
you
Brittany.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.